You know, life is a journey of moments, moments that test us, challenge us, and at times leave us feeling frustrated, angry, or hurt. But here's the truth. You hold the power to decide how you respond. You get to choose if you let those moments control you or if you rise above them. Today, I'm here to tell you that you do not have to be bothered by anything or anyone. It's not about suppressing your emotions. It's not about pretending to be perfect. It's about shifting your perspective and realizing that your peace, your joy, and your inner calm are yours to protect. And when you learn to tap into this power, when you master the art of never letting anyone steal your peace, that's when you unlock a freedom unlike any other. So let me ask you this. How would your life change if you could stand in your own strength, unfazed by the chaos around you? Let's talk about how to get there. We live in a world where we are constantly bombarded by external stimuli. From the moment we wake up until the time we go to bed, there are things happening around us that can easily trigger our emotions. People cut us off in traffic. Colleagues may criticize us. And sometimes even loved ones say or do things that hurt us. The natural reaction in many cases is to become angry, frustrated, or upset. We often feel like the world and others around us are controlling how we feel. But here's the truth. The one thing you have absolute control over in any situation is how you respond. You can't control how others behave, nor can you dictate what happens to you, but you hold the power to choose your response. It's one of the most empowering realizations you can have, and once you embrace it, your life can begin to change in profound ways. When you realize that your emotions are not dictated by the actions of others, but instead by how you choose to interpret those actions, you begin to take back your power. It's a shift from being a reactive individual to becoming someone who is proactive in their emotional life. You can't prevent people from being rude, inconsiderate, or even outright malicious, but you can choose whether you allow their actions to impact your inner peace. This is the first step toward mastering your emotions. Understanding this takes practice. The initial instinct in any challenging moment is to react, to lash out in anger, to feel upset, to take offense. But that's a conditioned response. It's not your natural state. Your natural state is calm, peaceful, and centered. Anger, frustration, and resentment only arise when you allow external factors to determine your emotional state. When someone cuts you off in traffic, it's not the action of the driver that makes you angry. It's your interpretation of that action. You may feel disrespected, threatened, or inconvenienced, but none of those feelings are a direct result of the action itself. They come from the meaning you attach to it. Imagine for a moment that same situation, someone cutting you off in traffic, but this time you don't attach any negative meaning to it. You don't interpret the driver's action as a personal attack. Instead, you simply acknowledge that it happened and move on. Maybe you even chuckle and think, maybe they're having a tough day. In that moment, your response is one of choice, not of instinct. By choosing not to react negatively, you retain your sense of calm and control, and the situation loses its power over you. This level of self-awareness is essential to emotional mastery. It means understanding that no one can truly make you feel anything. You are the one who determines your emotions, and the key lies in recognizing that your thoughts are what fuel your feelings. When you can take a step back and observe your thoughts instead of reacting impulsively to them, you can break the cycle of anger and frustration. It's important to remember that this is a skill. It takes time, effort, and a conscious decision to interrupt your automatic reactions. You will find yourself slipping up. You will get angry. You will feel hurt. But the difference is, the more you practice, the quicker you will be able to catch yourself in those moments and choose a different response. The more you exercise this skill, the more natural it becomes. Over time, you will begin to see fewer situations in which your emotions are hijacked by the actions of others. You will build a resilience that keeps your peace intact, no matter what's happening around you. One of the most significant advantages of mastering your response is the freedom it gives you. When you stop allowing external forces to dictate how you feel, you reclaim your power. The actions of others no longer have the same control over your emotional state. If someone insults you, you don't feel the need to retaliate or internalize the negativity. You understand that their words are a reflection of them, not of you. You don't have to carry the weight of their words or actions with you. Instead, you get to choose whether you accept it, whether you let it go, or whether you move forward with a sense of calm. This approach also improves your relationships. Think about it. How many times have you gotten into arguments or experienced tension with others because you reacted to something they said or did? When you stop reacting impulsively, you begin to respond thoughtfully. You have the ability to listen more intently, to understand the other person's perspective, and to engage in more productive conversations. You're no longer trapped in an emotional tug-of-war. Instead, you can engage in discussions that are constructive, respectful, and focused on resolution. By choosing how you respond, you also build emotional intelligence. You become more aware of your triggers, more in tune with your emotions, and more adept at managing them. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand and manage your own emotions as well as the emotions of others. When you're able to remain composed in the face of provocation, you are demonstrating a high level of emotional maturity. And as you grow in this area, you'll find that you become better equipped to navigate all of life's challenges with grace and ease. The concept of controlling your response goes beyond just handling negative situations. It also applies to the positive. Think about how easy it is to get caught up in moments of excitement, pride, or joy, and then lose that feeling as quickly as it came. We can get too attached to praise or the approval of others, letting those moments determine our worth. But when you choose your response, you become less dependent on external validation for your happiness. You can be joyful and proud without needing the applause of others to confirm it. This creates a deeper, more sustainable sense of fulfillment because you're no longer waiting for outside circumstances to dictate your emotional state. As you continue on this journey of self-mastery, it's crucial to remember that this is a process. The goal is not to suppress or deny your emotions, but to recognize them for what they are. Temporary states that do not define you. By mastering your response, you allow yourself the freedom to experience emotions without letting them control you. You remain anchored in your power regardless of the storms happening around you. So much of our happiness, self-worth, and peace of mind is tied to how we are perceived by others. From the moment we enter the world, we begin seeking validation, approval from our parents, teachers, peers, and eventually society. We learn to measure our success and value based on how others see us, and this external validation becomes a guiding force in our lives. But the truth is, the need for external validation can be one of the most limiting and draining forces we encounter in life. It has the potential to steal our peace, disturb our joy, and create a sense of dependence that ultimately keeps us from fully living our own truth. When you tie your self-worth to external validation, you are constantly at the mercy of others' opinions. One moment you may feel on top of the world because of praise or recognition, and the next you might feel insignificant or insecure due to criticism or judgment. This roller coaster of emotions can leave you feeling unsteady, unsure, and most importantly, disconnected from your authentic self. The truth is, no one can define your worth but you. Your value is intrinsic. It doesn't depend on how others see you, how they speak about you, or whether they approve of your choices. The moment you start understanding and embracing this truth is the moment you begin to liberate yourself from the constant need for external validation. The shift from seeking approval to self-acceptance is profound, and it brings with it a sense of peace that cannot be disturbed by the changing winds of external opinions. Imagine living a life where your sense of self is rooted in who you are, not how others see you. That's the kind of freedom and empowerment you begin to unlock when you detach from the need for external validation. This doesn't mean you should reject the feedback of others, nor does it mean you should isolate yourself from the world. Constructive criticism, advice, and support are all valuable and important. But when you are truly anchored in your own sense of worth, you are no longer desperate for others to tell you that you're enough. You no longer live your life in search of constant approval, and this sense of independence creates space for you to make choices that are aligned with your authentic desires rather than those that are motivated by a desire for external recognition. One of the first steps in detaching from external validation is recognizing the patterns in your behavior that arise from the need for approval. How many times have you found yourself over-explaining your choices, seeking reassurance from others, or making decisions based on how others might perceive you? These are all signs that your sense of self is being influenced by external forces. The truth is, when you seek validation from others, you are often prioritizing their perception over your own truth. It can lead you to make choices that don't truly reflect who you are or what you desire simply to gain acceptance or approval. This can keep you stuck in a cycle of self-doubt and confusion because your decisions aren't being made from a place of inner clarity, but from the need to fit into someone else's definition of success, happiness, or worth. The key to breaking this cycle is to start looking inward for validation. Instead of looking to others to define your worth, ask yourself what truly matters to you. What are your values? What do you stand for? What brings you joy, fulfillment, and a sense of purpose? When you begin to answer these questions, you start to realize that you are the only one who can truly define your success. You become the author of your own narrative, and you stop waiting for the world to affirm your. This shift can be incredibly empowering because it gives you back the reins of your life. You are no longer waiting for others to approve of you or your choices. You're taking ownership of your life, your direction, and your happiness. One of the biggest challenges in detaching from external validation is the fear of rejection. The fear that if you stop seeking approval, people will stop liking you, or you'll be left out or misunderstood. But the truth is, when you stop seeking validation from others, you will start to attract people who appreciate you for who you truly are, not for the version of you that you've been presenting to gain their approval. These authentic connections will be far more fulfilling and meaningful than relationships built on the shaky foundation of trying to meet someone else's expectations. When you stop pretending to be something you're not, you create space for the right people to come into your life. People who see you, appreciate you, and love you for exactly who you are. It's also important to recognize that no one else has the ability to give you the sense of worth and fulfillment that you are seeking. External validation can feel good in the moment, but it is fleeting. The praise, the compliments, the recognition, they all pass. But when you validate yourself, when you learn to see your own value and acknowledge your own strengths, that feeling doesn't fade. It is an internal knowing that remains with you regardless of external circumstances. You might wonder, how do you begin to validate yourself, especially when you've spent so much of your life relying on others to do it for you? The process starts with self-awareness. Start by noticing your thoughts and the ways in which you judge yourself. Do you tend to seek approval before making decisions? Do you base your worth on how others perceive you? Especially on social media or in your professional life, begin to catch these moments and gently remind yourself that your worth is not dependent on what others think or say. You are enough just as you are. Another important aspect of self-satisfied vigilation is practicing self-compassion. We can often be our own harshest critics, focusing on our flaws and shortcomings rather than recognizing our achievements and qualities. Self-convigilation involves acknowledging and celebrating your strengths, even the small victories, and being kind to yourself when things don't go as planned. Instead of berating yourself for mistakes, practice self-compassion and give yourself the grace to learn and grow. This internal kindness builds a foundation of self-respect, which makes it easier to rely on your own sense of worth rather than seeking it from others. As you start to detach from the need for external validation, you will notice a shift in how you show up in the world. You will feel more confident, more at ease with who you are, and more aligned with your purpose. Your actions will be driven by your own desires and values, not by the fear of judgment or rejection. And while you may still face criticism or disagreement from others, you will be better equipped to handle. The opinions of others will have less power over you because you will know deep down that your value is not determined by anyone else's approval. This journey of detaching from external validation is not an overnight process. It takes time, patience, and a commitment to self-awareness. But with each step, you will find that you are more grounded, more peaceful, and more connected to the truth of who you are. You will no longer seek approval as a means of proving your worth. Instead, you will know that you are enough, exactly as you are. And when you embrace this truth, you will find that the need for validation begins to fade, and you will feel more empowered, more confident, and more at peace. In a world full of distractions, pressures, and constant noise, finding a sense of inner peace can feel like a rare and fleeting experience. Life demands so much from us. We have jobs to do, responsibilities to meet, relationships to nurture, and expectations to live up to. Every day we are pulled in different directions, and often we lose sight of what truly matters, the stillness within. The truth is, inner peace is not something that simply happens to us. It's something we have to consciously cultivate, protect, and nurture. The idea of cultivating inner peace starts with recognizing that it is a choice. It's a mindset that requires deliberate practice. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the chaos of life, to become caught up in the whirlwind of emotions, demands, and frustrations that surround us. But no matter how chaotic the world gets, we always have the power to choose how we respond. Our inner peace is not determined by our circumstances. It's determined by how we choose to navigate them. In every situation, we have the ability to decide whether to react in anger, frustration, or fear, or whether to remain grounded, calm, and centered. The more we practice this, the more peace becomes a natural part of our being. One of the first steps in cultivating inner peace is learning to let go of the need to control everything around us. We often feel that we need to manage every detail of our lives, and that if we just try hard enough, we can eliminate all uncertainty. But this desire for control is often the very thing that robs us of our peace. The truth is, we cannot control everything that happens in life. People will act in ways we don't understand. Circumstances will arise that challenge us. Plans will fall apart. And while we can take action and make decisions, we cannot control every outcome. The key to inner peace is accepting this truth and letting go of the need for perfection or total control. This doesn't mean that we should be passive or resigned to whatever life throws at us. Rather, it's about learning to accept what we cannot change and to direct our energy toward the things we can influence. There's a profound freedom in recognizing that we don't have to control every situation or have everything figured out. When we release our attachment to the outcome, we free ourselves from unnecessary stress and anxiety. We learn to be present in the moment instead of constantly worrying about what might happen next. The shift in mindset is essential for cultivating lasting peace. Another crucial element of maintaining inner peace is learning how to manage our thoughts. Our minds are often our greatest source of turbulence. We dwell on past mistakes, anticipate future problems, and become consumed by negative self-talk. These thoughts can spiral out of control, leading us into feelings of fear, doubt, and anxiety. But the truth is, we don't have to believe every thought that comes into our mind. Not every thought is true, and not every thought deserves our attention. In fact, many of the thoughts that cause us the most distress are rooted in fear, insecurity, or outdated beliefs about ourselves and the world. Learning to quiet the mind and control our thoughts is a practice that takes time and intentionality. One of the most powerful tools for managing your thoughts is mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment without judgment. It involves observing your thoughts without getting attached to them. When you're able to observe your thoughts without reacting emotionally, you create space between you and the noise in your mind. This space allows you to choose which thoughts you want to engage with and which ones you want to let go of. Over time, this practice becomes a habit, and you begin to naturally respond to thoughts in a calm, grounded way, rather than allowing them to dictate your emotions. It's also important to recognize the role of self-care in maintaining inner peace. Too often, we become so caught up in the demands of daily life that we neglect our own well-being. We push ourselves too hard, ignore our physical or emotional needs, and wonder why we feel drained or overwhelmed. Inner peace can only be sustained when we make self-care a priority. This doesn't just mean taking time off work or going on vacation, although those things are important. It's about consistently checking in with yourself and making sure that you are caring for your mental, emotional, and physical health on a regular basis. This could mean setting boundaries, practicing relaxation techniques, getting enough rest, or simply taking time to be still and recharge. Part of self-care is also about creating space for joy, creativity, and passion in your life. It's about doing things that nourish your soul and make you feel alive. This could be spending time with loved ones, pursuing a hobby, traveling, or simply enjoying quiet moments in nature. These activities help restore your energy and bring you back to a place of peace. When we take the time to engage in things that bring us joy, we reconnect with a deeper part of ourselves, the part that is always at peace, no matter what's happening around us. Another key aspect of protecting your inner peace is learning to detach from external circumstances and opinions. It's easy to allow the opinions and judgments of others to influence how we feel about ourselves. When we allow others' words or actions to disturb our peace, we give away our power. Remember that what others say or do is a reflection of them, not of you. The opinions of others should not determine how you feel about yourself or your life. The more you detach from seeking approval or validation from others, the more you begin to feel a sense of inner freedom and peace. Furthermore, accepting that conflict and challenges are a natural part of life is also essential to maintaining inner peace. We often think that peace means avoiding all conflict, but this is an unrealistic expectation. Conflict, disagreements, and challenges are part of the human experience. What matters is how we navigate those challenges. When you cultivate inner peace, you approach conflict with a sense of calm and clarity. You don't react out of anger or fear. Instead, you respond from a place of understanding and compassion. You remain centered in your truth, and you handle the situation with grace and dignity, knowing that your peace is not dependent on the outcome. Developing inner peace is a journey, not a destination. There will be moments when life tests you, when you feel out of balance, or when external circumstances try to pull you off course. But the key is remembering that peace is always available to you. It's within you, waiting to be accessed. With every moment you choose to stay grounded, to let go of control, to manage your thoughts, to care for yourself, and to detach from external noise, you are building a foundation of inner peace that can withstand any storm. When you are anchored in inner peace, you become a beacon of calm and strength for those around you. Your peace is not just for you, it radiates outwards and positively impacts everyone you encounter. It allows you to face life's challenges with a sense of ease, and it enables you to experience deeper levels of fulfillment and joy. Your inner peace becomes your greatest asset. And when you protect it, you unlock the ability to live a life that is not only peaceful, but purposeful and powerful. We often find ourselves caught up in the pursuit of things outside our control, whether it's trying to change how others behave, striving to fix circumstances that feel impossible to manage, or attempting to influence outcomes that are far beyond our reach. The reality is that the only thing we truly have control over is ourselves. Our thoughts, our actions, our decisions, they are the only things within our grasp. Yet, how often do we focus our energy and attention on things we can't change instead of pouring that energy into the things we can control? The power of focusing on what we can control lies in its simplicity. When we direct our attention toward our own growth, our own choices, and our own mindset, we empower ourselves to shape our lives in meaningful ways. This shift in focus allows us to stop wasting energy on things that drain us or cause unnecessary frustration. It's about recognizing that while life may not always go according to plan, we always have the ability to control how we respond, how we move forward, and how we grow from every experience. When we talk about focusing on what we can control, it's essential to first acknowledge the things we can't control. The actions of others, the choices they make, the paths they choose to walk, these are not within our control. How someone else feels about us, how they treat us, or how they respond to our needs is not something we can dictate. These are external factors, and when we invest too much energy trying to influence them, we set ourselves up for disappointment. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that we can change others or make them see things from our perspective, but the truth is, no one else's behavior is our responsibility. The sooner we accept that, the more freedom we give ourselves to focus on what truly matters. This doesn't mean we should resign ourselves to being passive or indifferent in the face of other people's actions. Instead, it's about recognizing where our power lies within ourselves. We can't control how others act, but we can control how we react. We can't control how people perceive us, but we can control how we perceive ourselves. When we focus on our own responses, we regain the power to influence our emotions and our experiences, regardless of external circumstances. A powerful place to start is with our mindset. Our thoughts shape our reality. How we think about ourselves, about challenges, and about the world around us ultimately determines how we experience life. When we focus on controlling our thoughts, we begin to shift the way we approach situations. Instead of seeing obstacles as insurmountable problems, we start to view them as opportunities for growth. Rather than allowing negativity or self-doubt to cloud our judgment, we consciously choose to focus on solutions and positive outcomes. When we focus on controlling our thoughts, we empower ourselves to change the way we interact with the world and the way we perceive it. Next, it's essential to focus on controlling our actions. In any given moment, we have the ability to choose how we act. We can choose to be kind, patient, and understanding, even when others aren't. We can choose to show up with integrity and authenticity, even when the world around us seems chaotic. The key is remembering that our actions are a reflection of who we are, not a response to how others behave. By focusing on controlling our actions, we align ourselves with our values rather than allowing the actions of others to dictate our behavior. This creates a sense of empowerment because we are no longer at the mercy of external influences. We choose how we respond, and that choice is an expression of our own strength. Taking responsibility for our actions also means taking responsibility for our own growth and development. Too often, we look to others for guidance, approval, or direction, waiting for someone else to tell us what we should do or how we should improve. But the truth is, The most important growth happens within us. We are the ones responsible for our own journey. We control how we learn, how we grow, and how we evolve. Whether it's investing in our own education, learning new skills, or seeking opportunities for self-improvement, it's up to us to take the steps necessary to grow and move forward. When we focus on controlling our personal development, we become the architects of our own success. Focusing on what we can control also means taking ownership of our time. Time is one of our most valuable resources, and yet we often spend it on things that don't align with our goals, values, or purpose. We get caught up in distractions, obligations, and responsibilities that don't serve us, leaving us feeling overwhelmed and unfulfilled. By focusing on what we can control, how we spend our time, we begin to take back ownership of our lives. This might mean saying no to things that drain us, setting clearer boundaries with others, or prioritizing activities that bring us joy and fulfillment. When we consciously choose how we spend our time, we create space for what truly matters, and we move closer to living a life that is aligned with our deepest desires. Our relationships are another area where we can focus on what we can control. While we can control how others behave, we can control how we show up in our relationships. We can choose to be supportive, loving, and understanding. We can choose to communicate openly, honestly, and respectfully. By focusing on controlling our own actions and behaviors, we create an environment that fosters healthy, meaningful connections with others. It's about showing up as the best version of ourselves, regardless of how others behave. When we focus on controlling our contributions to our relationships, we cultivate deeper, more authentic connections that nourish our well-being. There's also a powerful element of self-compassion involved in focusing on what we can control. We are often our own harshest critics, constantly judging ourselves for not being good enough, not achieving enough, or not meeting our own expectations. But the truth is, no one is perfect. We all make mistakes, face setbacks, and encounter challenges. Focusing on what we can control means giving ourselves permission to be human, to make mistakes and to learn from them. It means treating ourselves with kindness and understanding rather than with harsh judgment. When we embrace self-compassion, we free ourselves from the burden of perfectionism and allow ourselves the space to grow and improve at our own pace. Ultimately, focusing on what we can control empowers us to live more intentional, purposeful lives. It shifts our attention away from the things that drain us, external circumstances, the behavior of others, the pursuit of things we can't change, and directs it inward where we have the power to make a difference. It allows us to align our actions with our values, to cultivate inner strength, and to navigate life with a sense of confidence and clarity. The more we focus on what we can control, the more we experience a deep sense of peace and fulfillment. And as we continue to grow in this practice, we find that we are no longer at the mercy of external circumstances, but instead are the creators of our own lives.